بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أيها الأحبة في الله، اليوم إن شاء الله سنتحدث عن أهمية الوالدين وبرهما. وأهمية الوالدين سبحان الله نشعر أننا نفهم به ولكن لا نفهم به، ونسأل الله عز وجل أن يبارك لنا في والدينا وأن يبارك لنا في هذه الجلسة وأن يرحمهما وأن يحفظهما آمين إن شاء الله. My dear brothers and sisters, we're going to be talking today inshallah about the obedience and the importance of our parents and what we should be towards our parents. And if you don't have a mom or dad, you wouldn't be alive, so alhamdulillah you do have them. And if they're not alive right now, inshallah I'm going to share some tips on what you can do to still be a good son or daughter for your parents bi'idhnillah. So stay tuned in even if they're not alive. We're going to be talking about how important our parents are. We know they're important, but I'm going to talk about the details of really how important they are. And we're going to be sharing some stories and some ahadith bi'idhnillah that's going to hopefully shake your heart like it shook my heart and allow you to pay more attention to your parents bi'idhnillah. So I want to start off with a question for everybody. From a raise of hands, how many of you truly, really, deep down, love your mom and your dad? Ya Allah. Either ta'baneen, either y'all are tired, or there's nobody that loves their mom and dad. This is on live video, Faif. Khalas. We have a good amount, inshallah. Tayyib, that's the first thing. So you guys truly love your parents, correct? And you guys really want them to have the best that they wanted for you as well. So we got that out the way. So the second question is, if your parents are alive, and this is also for those who are married, if your parents are alive, when was the last time you called your mom and told her, let's go out for a cup of coffee? Can anybody in the last month tell me, raise your hand if you've done that in the last month? MashaAllah, Allahumma barak. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. 1 person out of 100, so we're 1%. Oh, not coffee? Is it haram?
She's far away.
Khalas, you call her, but we're focused right now on the coffee. So he called his mother within the last month and said, let's go grab coffee. If you called your mother within the last month and you can't take her for coffee because she's across the country or in a different state, have you offered her your help within the last month for anything that she may have needed? Have you called her and said, hey mom, hey dad, what is it that I can help you with within the last month? Can someone raise their hand and tell me? MashaAllah. 1, 2. Last week, Allahumma barak. 2 people out of 100, so we're 2% on that. So we're 1% on the people who love their parents and 2%. Allah yarhamha. Then raise your hand, brother, because if you did it before, then you're still concluded, inshallah, with that. Allahumma barak. Every fajr. Before fajr. After. MashaAllah. Allah yarhamha ya Rab. Allah yarhamha ya Rab. That's very good. So we got that we love our parents. We got that we don't call them for coffee or for help within the last month. But you said you love them. So is that really love if you don't call them to help them, to give them, to connect with them? I don't think it's love. You see, we have a problem where if we're married, specifically those who are married, those who are in college, those who are looking for a job, they call their mom and their dad, make dua for me, please. They call their mom and their dad, I have a problem with my husband, a problem with my wife. What should I do? They call their mom and their dad, can you give? And they're 30 and 40 and 50 years old and they're still calling their mom and dad, taking and taking and taking. When is it that we're going to step up and we're going to call them and say, what can I help you with, or what can I give you? Why do we always have to take from them? We got so used to it that they don't care. They'll keep giving and giving and giving without accepting anything back. Parents will keep doing that, and you will know when you have kids, inshallah, but that's not fair. We have to start giving our parents because they've given us their entire lives, and it's our time to try and to repay them back. Listen to this story. This is something that touched my heart because I thought that there's a way that you can pay back your parents. And it turns out there is never a way you can pay them back. There's only you trying your absolute best. جاء رجل إلى ابن عمرو رضي الله عنهما فقال حججت بأمي 7 حجات. He said to the companion that he did Hajj 7 times. وَأَنَا أَحْمِلُهَا عَلَى ظَهْرِي, and I'm holding my mom on my back 7 times. هَلْ أَدَّيْتُ حَقَّهَا, have I given her or repaid her back what she has done for me? What do you mean no? 7 times you did Hajj and you held her on your back 7 times, and that's a major pillar in our religion. You didn't pay her back for that? So what if we did 10 Hajj? Is that going to pay back? There's no number? Subhanallah. He responded and he said, لا ولا طلقة من طلقاتها. You did not pay her back for one of the contractions that she had to deal with when she was giving birth to you. A woman on average has 100 to 300 contractions. Your 7 Hajj that you did was not even worth one of her contractions. تخيلوا. الطلقة هي التقلصات عند الولادة. ولذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: المرأة التي تموت في نفاسها ما هي؟ شهيدة. The mother who dies while she's giving birth, and there is some narrations in tafasir that it's after birth and during birth and a little bit before birth. If she dies a martyr in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She goes straight to Jannah because of what she has to go through. She has to go through the toughest time of her life, and she keeps on doing it, subhanallah. This is the nature of the world. She goes through the birth for you. لكي أن تخرج إلى الحياة ثم سبحان الله ثم تعقها ثم تضربها ثم ترفع صوتك عليها. Allahu Akbar. She does all of this for you to bring you to this earth, and then you disobey her, and then you raise your voice on her, and then you hit her, then you idlum her. Is that fair? And this is just the mother, not even speaking on the father. The father who sacrifices and works so hard throughout his life to be able to put the food on the table, to be able to have your mom be able to give that birth in the hospital in the best comfort that he can possibly give. And subhanallah, we don't give them the respect. So I want to ask a question to everybody, and anybody can answer. What is disobedience to parents? What does it mean exactly? Just one person, raise your hand and tell me, what is disobedience? It can be anything, but I just want to hear what your thoughts are. لا هيك خلصت الخاطرة. Let's go to somebody else and act like we didn't hear him.
Any little things that dissatisfied her, or
any little things that dissatisfies the parents. So if they were talking to you and they said something wrong and you responded a little bit louder in tone because you want to get the message, is that disobedience? I agree with you 100%. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا تَكُنْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. He says, don't even make, what is it? Is that a word? Uff word? Sawt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't make a sound. He doesn't say, don't tell her no, and don't argue, and don't fight. Don't make a sound. What's after a sound? Everything else. So when your dad or your mom asks you for something and you say, uff, and then you continue with it, you disobeyed them. You didn't do what you should have done, which is automatically hadir. You accept it and you go and do it without arguing with them. Disobedience is as simple as a sound. And so many of us, subhanallah, fail to understand and to know that, including myself, because it is something that's not easy. Sometimes we get caught up in the moment. Sometimes we get a little bit heated. Sometimes we just want to prove our point. Sometimes, as our parents get older and older and older, they're actually wrong. And we're trying to let them know in a nice way they're wrong, and that's still disobedience. When your parents get older in age, do they get easier? They don't get easier, right? They get harder. They can't hear too much. They ask a lot of questions multiple times. They think they're right, and they may be wrong, and you have to just stay quiet. And you have to do the thing that they think they're right with and lose $1,000 just so you don't disobey them. Sometimes the parent, you are as a son or daughter, 100% you know they're wrong. They want to buy something and you know it's going to break. They want to do something and you know it's not worth it. There is a better thing. بس هم مصممين على هاي الشغلة. They're pushing and forcing. They want this thing. And you know it's not good for them. But you do it. And you lost $1,000 for them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But who's winning? What's $1,000 to make your parents happy? It's just money. Your parents are one mom and one dad, and subhanallah, never again. So the beauty of having them in your life is a huge ni'mah that so many of us, we fail to see. What you want to also understand is that your parents, when they're talking to you, when you're texting, as they're looking at you, that's disrespect. What you want to understand, if you're married as a husband or as a wife, do not let the wife or the husband dictate how many times you can visit your mom or dad. Either direction. Do not allow yourself to not teach your wife the value of your mother and your father. Because if she doesn't know the value of them, you're going to have a lot of problems in your house. Where are you going? Going to visit my mom. Typically with the wife and the mother, there's jealousy, there's problems, there's things that happen. The man's job is to teach her the value of you as a son, where Jannah is near the feet of your mother, to teach her that. Your job is to let her know that if she wants us to be successful, she wants our kids to live good and to teach us and to train us and to be good with us as parents, then we have to be good with our parents. Famous saying, كَمَا تَدِينُ تُدَانُ. What you do to your parents is what you're going to have done by your kids. I'm seeing some of y'all with your kids sitting in your lap right now. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them and make them from the righteous ones to you as a parent. Understand that how you are with your parents, it's going to make your life a lot easier with how your kids are going to be with you, inshallah. So when you have, I was talking to a man the other day, maybe he's 30 years old, 35 years old, so maybe nobody knows who he is. And he traveled to a different state. And his wife's in a different state. And his mom and his dad, they're not the happiest with that relationship. Because she's done things and he's done things, and they want to terminate the relationship. They want them to divorce, the mom and the dad. So he ended up traveling to the other state. And I was talking to him, we do business together, and I was just talking to him, and I said, how's everything going with you? And he's like, everything was good, alhamdulillah, but I traveled to a different state, and my parents basically said, don't come back home. And he's like, but I'm just going to focus on us, man. I'm going to focus on me and my wife. And I'll figure it out with my parents later. I told him, don't let the next minute be on the phone with me. I said, you call your mom, you call your dad, and you let them know that you're wrong. And you let them know that you went without thinking too much. You let them know that you apologize, and inshallah the next flight back you're going to be back. And you let them know that you didn't mean this in a disrespectful way to them. Gone for a week, and his parents aren't happy with him. Even if your parents at times are wrong, and you're able to not do the thing, just don't do it. And I understand that parents at times can be more aggressive and can be abusive and can be difficult. And there's limits to how they can do that within our religion, but you still have to do your absolute best. You met a woman. The first day you met her, she somehow became more important than your mother who raised you for 30 years? Allahu Akbar, how? 30 years, I love you mom and thank you mom, and she makes me breakfast, lunch and dinner, and she cleans my clothes and she takes care of the house, and every time I need her she's there. 30 years in one day, and you love this woman more than your mother? Allahu Akbar. There is no comparison with your mom and with your wife. They're in two different worlds. And your job is to make sure that you keep them in two different worlds. And you teach your wife that your mother is not compared to her in any way. And you teach your wife the blessing that she as a wife is going to get, inshallah, back from her kids. And when she makes her husband happy, her husband's the way to where? To Jannah. So she's also including herself, inshallah, to get a door into Jannah by making her husband happy. 7 men went to court after their dad died. It wasn't to inherit money. It wasn't to fight for their property. 7 men went to court so those 7 brothers can fight for who's going to get their mother into their home. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. The smart wife, she's in that court, fighting for that mother to be in that home with them. But subhanAllah, nowadays, the lack of understanding of the value of the faith, of the iman, of the religion, it's not there. And I blame who? Who do you blame? You blame the husband. The husband. It's not common, and I'm not speaking about this, it's the wife, the wife, the wife. I'm not speaking about the husband, because the husband generally doesn't tell his wife, don't go to your parents' house. Usually she can go 100 times a day and he's fine with that. Usually it's the opposite, because there's more emotions involved with that. Listen to what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said to conclude, رِضَى اللَّهِ فِي رِضَى الْوَالِدِ وَسَخَطُ اللَّهِ فِي سَخَطِ الْوَالِدِ. The pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with the pleasure of your mom and your dad. The anger and the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our Creator, is with the anger and the wrath of your mom and of your dad. So trust me on this, you do not want your mom and your dad angry with you, because then you have Allah Azza wa Jal angry with you, and wallahi, the doors of life will shut one after the other after the other. Your wealth, your health, your marriage, your kids, everything will shut right in front of you, and you'll wonder why. And it's because your mom and your dad, they cry at night without you knowing. They're offended by the things that you do. They're sad from who you picked over them. They don't want your money. They just want a phone call. I love you. How are you? Where are you? Can we go grab a cup of coffee? Or if they're overseas, you make dua and let them know that you remember them. Send them $50, $100 because you can't do anything locally. They just want to know that you care about them. Parents don't want nothing more than that. So take advantage of your parents being alive. And like I promised you all, for those whose parents are not alive, there's things you can do. Every single prayer, seek istighfar for them, ask for forgiveness for them. Every single prayer, make dua for them. Every single chance you get to do Hajj or Umrah, do one on their behalf. And most importantly, if you have some money, build a well, build a masjid. In Africa, a well for $1,500. Sadaqah jariyah, continuous hasanat. So at the Day of Judgment, when their scales of rewards is very heavy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them, it was from your righteous son, it was from your righteous daughter. They kept on asking for you. They kept on saying, please Allah forgive them. They kept on putting donations on your behalf. So if they're not alive, you still have an obligation to take care of them. And if they're alive, as soon as you leave this masjid, call. And if mom or dad's asleep, text. And if they call you back and it's 1 a.m. and you're about to sleep, answer the phone. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless and protect our parents for us all. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يغفر لوالدينا اللهم اجعل سعيهما مشكورا وعملهما مبرورا وذنبهما مغفورا وارزقهما دار السلام وارحمهما كما ربيانا صغارا آمين إن شاء الله. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.